Fast forward, Yankasa our channel so I say AGH Politics Avenue. Political stories are trendy make ways make headlines. Near Jembre na YDB Exum war Mr. say young court young simu. Na a year operation recover all loops a year ora. Na menoka say Umu Numa a umudi with regards to the operation. A quick question about Kakra. Menoka say Oman Peninsula didn't know atum say ora omo ye adwuma no swampa. Name documentation you bro mu bia no omuguso a omuhwehwem no maso no so yipa na baby a what teach me bia no yes omuhwe na omu esisi enti ye di wo kugina court a anya afi na court be ka se mabo wasema togu because on krata enimu asemosi di woni for ho ti ansa na ye di esumesi o mentin kwa kugina court no de ene na ne krata asema no adoto to yipa enti binima mokeke ka se ye wonkofu bi wo NDC am yekunuma o mukati deals no de eno ne probia enewa ewo ye monwuram yehwe ne yeko ene de ba.
But you don't want to hurriedly take a docket to courts and have it thrown out on technicality. And that's why you need to make sure that by the time a docket is prepared and prosecution starts, you have a watertight case that will ensure that you get a conviction. And so that's the process that we're going through.
So that's the president. The assurance is that there can be no interference in oral investigation. So where did the General Secretary get this information from? Because at that gathering you were there, no?
So thankfully, last week, lawyers associated with the NDC did our 5th conference in Kumasi, and consistent, we invited the National Chairman, General Secretary, the Chief of Staff, among others. Well-attended program. The General Secretary had the opportunity to share some words with us. I think that listening to the totality of the speech, I rather saw some kind of caution to all of us relative to the oral issues. I remember vividly he saying that in 1979, obviously I wasn't born, and those who witnessed the event in those days, the conversation around then was, let the blood flow. And said he would liken let the blood flow then to the issues of oral today. But he cited one example and said after everything, you remember the generals that were executed, and singled out the case of Afrifa and said many years after the execution of Afrifa, Chairman Rawlings himself admitted that with the benefit of hindsight, Afrifa ought not to be executed. And stated that it was a senior military officer who advised that Afrifa be included. Later, J. Rawlings found out that the senior military officer had a personal grudge with Afrifa and regretted that particular instance. So it was in that vein that the General Secretary dovetailed the issue that you can hear a lot of clamor. Oh, today oral, then let the blood flow. But he would advise the Attorney General to exercise a lot of caution, follow due process, ensure that the right thing is done. And then brought in the issue that he is sounding a warning that if there is anybody, I'm surprised that later it was then that NDC lawyers were cutting deals. I said, from where from this? But so the advice was a general caution to all of us. Look, in fact, he even said, when some of these trials are going on, Mr. Senanu, I'm just using as an example, may come and say, oh, Addo, like the two of us are from the same town. Or, oh, we went to Achimota together. He was my roommate. I beg you, can you look into this more for me? He said, because our cultural connections there's always the tendency for some of this, and was warning that let's focus on the bigger picture, because one of the major campaign issues in the 2024 election was on aura. Then he then gave because prior to that, the Attorney General had spoken before he came in. The Attorney General had then given the indication that one of the legislations that we have inherited was the amendment to the Criminal Procedure Act with the issue of plea bargaining. And then indicated that because the campaign promise was recover the loot, when you get conviction, it becomes a bonus. And that as a policy rationale, the focus relative to the campaign promise was to recover as much loot as you can. And that has always been. And that there have been instances where people have even approached and said, okay, we'll return the money, quote unquote, without going to court. He says, no, I will go to court. There are instances where people have approached through their lawyers, and it's permissible by law.
You should take the money.
That I only want to refund and go. He said, no, we have to also send a message to others that when you take, you can serve prison sentence. And that in most of the instances, these issues have come. So, Attorney General had given that information prior to he coming. And that was the basis why he then said, in all of this, we should exercise caution.
But he said there are some amongst you. Some amongst you.
Oh, no. I mean, when you see, even he himself said, at the right time, you will do name and shame. He sat by me. AG was at this end. I was in the middle. Then he was in the middle between myself and Attorney General. So when he came, and so I was even mocking him. And I said, look, next time a speech like that, he should give it to us so we'll pre-read before you go and stand. Because so that the dynamite in the speech, we can remove them. Then I was telling him, he said, no, Eduje, I don't usually write my speeches. I prefer that I'll just go and say it as it is. But bottom line, Attorney General Dominic Akrotinga Ayene, that I've worked with for the past 13 years or so, and my lecturer at the law faculty, admin law and natural resource law, and later coming to work and becoming a partner with him. I have no doubt at all. And with the dockets I have seen, look, he's on course.
Okay.
Look, I have never seen an Attorney General in the past few years that within a year had moved with this speed. In 2017, I was involved in the NCA criminal trial. That trial started somewhere December 2017. The court concluded its judgment in May 2020. In May 2020, today, I have seen an Attorney General that has commenced a case, moved beyond case management, had called his first prosecution witness. Not only that, 3 of the accused person's lawyers have already done with cross-examination. You know already, July, October is the usual legal vacation. So the high courts will go vacation and come in October. And so he has his eyes on the ball.
Right.
And he's consistent. Look, the SkyTrain matter gone very far. I am aware that July ending, he intended to file about 4 more. Then the vacation set in. Latest by October, not less than 5. And in some of the cases, the accused persons are as many as 5.
Wow.
Yes.
I see.
I should take the money.
Well,
you should take the money.
No, so as for the money conversation, I think he's even moved from beyond, because that one, that is the least. Because already the people and their lawyers have approached and said, look, this he said, no, I want to go to court. You do a proper plea, plead guilty, we recover, and maybe you do 2 years, 3 years, that kind of thing. That's where we've got into. As for the money, we've gone past that.
I honestly don't find a contradiction between what the General Secretary said and what the President said. I find that the President's comments were very nuanced.
Right.
Now, and Eduji, please don't intimidate your General Secretary. Allow him to speak. See, all of us who've been leaders, where you lead large groups, sometimes you get access to information that others don't have.
Yeah.
People will call you and tell you things. And I found it impressive. I have commended it.
Yes,
That a party will come. He's being blunt about it that some people have this. Somebody may have called him. A few people and say, hey, they are attempting. Which is true. Those attempts will come. And it's good to raise the red flag because it then begins to serve as a deterrent. Otherwise, then people will think that we are under the cover of darkness, we can get ahead and actually influence the process. So I don't see it as contradictory. I see it as complementary. Indeed, unless, of course, Dr. Ine is going to be the one prosecuting everything by himself, I would say that the President needs to be even cautious. Because you never know what happens at the operational level.
Right.
The lawyers, one day maybe Dr. Dominic Aine is not well and somebody else is the one who is handling the case, and then somebody influences him, gives some money here and there.
Absolutely.
And then before you know it, what we said could not happen has happened. So these things we know. That's what happens. Colors, that flashing, it draws a certain attention. You stop certain things. So what do we need to do to begin to, as it were, frighten, restrict those who want to, with impunity, get into such spaces? That's the question we're asking. What do we call it? What kind of campaign? What kind of communication do we need to do? So what your citizens are saying is that
up the game.
Up the game.
Perfect.
Mr. President. Now, let me come to these figures. These figures are frightening.
You mean the excavator?
The excavator figures, they are very frightening. I am aware that our international partners have been asking, why don't we put a restriction on FX for the importation of excavators and other such tools? And let me tell you why this works. All of us today, when we need to get foreign exchange to purchase anything, you are required to put a description of what you are using it for. And to provide the supporting documentation.
Yes.
What that means is that there is no way you will get the foreign exchange that you require to buy these things without having put that description. And so all Bank of Ghana has to do is to say, when that description begins to be excavators or this certain equipment and tools, it cannot be approved. Because if you are in a situation where you understand that the lives of your citizens are at stake, kidney failure is increasing, mercury levels are going up, people are dying, you cannot allow this kind of thing to continue. These numbers that tell a story. This itself is an indicator of the fact that we are not paying attention to the spaces where the support. So on one hand, the forests have been reclaimed, but these figures tell another story. They tell us that somehow, some way, the tools for the trade to continue are still being brought in. And one would want to ask themselves, so where are they continuing these activities? So in my view, altogether, the impression is that there's so much more we need to do to clamp down on these activities and to retrieve the space. And in my mind, people like Sewa need to be asked, what are the indicators that if the president were reporting on, we will all now be comfortable? Wow. These are the stakeholders who probably can help us craft a way forward that will be acceptable to all parties.
There's someone who was asking a question. KJTR says, please, why can't government become the only importer and renter of excavators and mining materials through legislation? Government buy back all excavators and monopolizing, in inverted commas, the ownership and use of anything mining, including excavators. That's to the lawyers. That would be a stretch, eh?
Exactly.
I am privy to some conversation,
right,
where the discussion now had moved from not just the question of an importation perspective, but tracking.
Yes.
A system where just at a place you can track all the excavators in this country.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, this country is mapped.
Yes.
Where our forest reserves are, completely mapped.
Yes.
Where our river bodies are, completely mapped.
Absolutely.
And so if you track the excavator and you see it at a water body, that is conclusive evidence enough that what are you doing there with the excavator?
Yes. And the law allows the LI. We pass the LI for the tracking.
No, but if I can.
No, you will come in. I'm just saying. And so if the thing can be tracked, we can see where this thing are. Look, over the week, right, there was this story about midnight evacuation movement of.
Yes.
I mean, the impression was even created as though these excavators were being moved in the night to mining sites. Meanwhile, it was just basically to relocate for the purpose of decongesting the port.
That's what you say, yes.
No, but, and look, and you see, I always say that, look, madam, you are with the CSO. My senior brother here is with the CSO. Beyond what Eduji says, you the CSOs, go to Shy Hills, go to ABCD with your cameraman. Government says S number of excavators have been moved. We have checked, it is not true. We have checked, it is true. It puts matters in proper perspective. Don't you think so?
Let's come in this way briefly.
Yes. No, if you could conclude on the point.
Yes, the
Forgive me.
president, so as part of the speech, he mentioned the tracking. He said this and now they'll make sure that the tracking is done, right? So maybe we should be watching.
No,
That's
I think even the tracking is supposed to be in progress. But we are reliably informed that it is not working. Reliably informed.
so we need better.
You see, and some of the things that puzzle me, we are talking about, tracking the excavators and knowing where they are. As we speak, we know, for example, that there are Chanfans on the water bodies. It's not a secret. We know.
Where?
Oh, come
But
on.
let's add
No,
this.
because I
in the
know.
speech.
Okay, if you want to know. No. You have somebody.
No, hold on, madam.
Yes.
Madam, I appreciate the intervention. All I'm saying is that, you see, this fight, at the barest minimum, should be a collective one.
It is one.
Yes.
And you are given the information.
And I am saying that, you see, so for instance, the likes of Kenaboa and Co., who are manning this NIMO's group and others, they have a hotspot, numbering and others. You have information, specific information, actionable intel, that at this time, S number of Shanfines are on the Ankobra at so and so place. Result, like you pointed out, we can easily measure at. On this day, I gave this information to NIMOS that there are S number of Shanfines. After 2 weeks, they are still there. Then you can hold them. Oh, senior.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's add this. Those who have been arrested, I think this morning some listener is referred that we haven't referred to the number of arrested persons, the pumps that have been taken,
900
the excavators,
excavator 440. At least in the past, the
900
record was we
pumps.
never saw where the excavators were.
So the number
arrested.
of persons, that's over 1,000.
1,400.
That's what the president said. 1,000. Well, yes, just your final on this, because in the end, there's an acknowledgement across the table that a lot more needs to be done. I think that's not in doubt.
Agreed.
What has to be done specifically in the further effort to fight this?
You see, you have people on the ground, like, to name one person, Erastus Asaredonko. He has posts on Facebook almost every day. We cannot say we do not know where the Chanfans are. We cannot, if we say we don't know that, we're not being truthful. We know. So that what I'm saying is that what is preventing us from having a simultaneous effort, go to the, not just the Ankompra, the Tano Nimiri, all of them, we know that there are Chanfans there as we speak. Why are we not doing anything about it? And every day you can read Erastus's post because he's doing excellent work and he tells you where the hotspots are. If we really want to deal with the problem, we can. It's not as if it's a secret. It's going on openly. It's going on openly. We know that about 60% of our water bodies are polluted. So all I'm saying is that we have the information. It's the willingness to do something about the information which remains the challenge.
Right.
And what seems to happen a lot of the time is that we are going after the previous administration, those who were involved, and the current administration, there are people who want to find their way into those shoes, and that is where the issue lies.
I appreciate you for this, and that leads us into the oral cases, because Galamsey is also part of oral, because that was one of the issues you got reports on, oral preparatory team. The president gave an update on the oral cases, and then also the question I asked about the comment by the General Secretary of the party, Fifi Fiavikwete, that some NDC lawyers are cutting deals with people standing trial for acts of corruption. Take a look at this.
For missing one of the questions, and that is the accusation that there's interference in terms of the oral investigations. I would have very conveniently said the General Secretary himself is here, and so I'll call him to present his evidence to the public. But I can assure you that there's no way anybody can interfere. I cannot be in people's mind to stop them from attempting to interfere, but I am responsible for making sure that that interference comes to naught. And so I closely monitor. I hold regular meetings with the Attorney General. He briefs me on the status of investigations. And so I'm confident that, the cases will go ahead based on their merits, and that nobody would have the opportunity to interfere. If anybody goes lobbying people or paying people to interfere, they probably are just throwing away their resources. All cases will be investigated and come to their logical end. If people are exonerated in the courts, that's what justice is all about. We will do our part, and we're being painstaking in preparing the dockets, and that's why people are complaining that it's a bit slow. But you don't want to hurriedly take a docket to courts and have it thrown out on technicality, and that's why you need to make sure that by the time a docket is prepared and prosecution starts, you have a watertight case that will ensure that you get a conviction. And so that's the process that we're going through.
So that's the president. The assurance is that there can be no interference in oral investigation. So where did the General Secretary get this information from? Because at that gathering you were there, no?
So thankfully, last week, lawyers associated with the NDC did our 5th conference in Kumasi, and consistent, we invited the National Chairman, General Secretary, the Chief of Staff, among others. Well-attended program. The General Secretary had the opportunity to share some words with us. I think that listening to the totality of the speech, I rather saw some kind of caution to all of us relative to the oral issues. I remember vividly he saying that in 1979, obviously I wasn't born, and those who witnessed the event in those days,
we ain't some who were cause watching on us, man was so Jimmy, or had a sentence or bad, Eddie, Adumbi Edumania. You were some Bob, now you're some more questions. GH Politics Avenue.